Hello everyone, and welcome back to the JG Show. I'm Joey Guden, and this is episode 6. In this show, I have something very, very special that you guys have been waiting for a very, very long time. This is something that I have been promising you guys for months, and before we get to anything else, without further ado, let's just reveal it right now. Ta-da! Ladies and gentlemen, we are officially a video podcast. You now can see me. And it feels better than ever. So in this show, unfortunately, I don't have a special guest today. But I figured that this would make up for it in the best way possible. In today's show, we are going to be talking about how my brand new album, Revival Part 1, was made, what went into it, where I got all my ideas, and much, much more. Well, let's get started. So, before we get into any questions that some of you guys have actually had for me about this album, I'm going to kind of just talk about it and how it feels to have this album out after months and months of recording and producing and planning. How it feels to finally have this out. It has been a dream of mine the entire time I've been making music to have an original album, an album full of music that was written and produced by myself. Now, I've never done this before. This is a first. I've never done this before. All my previous albums have either been Christmas albums, which were full of covers, or they were regular albums like Mr. Spectacular and Let's Fly, but those albums were mostly covers. I did have an original song called Mr. Spectacular on that one, but still, most of them were covers. This album is entirely original. And as you know, we are far from finished. We'll get to that in a minute. But I just can't express my gratitude enough, and thank you guys for listening to this new album, leaving all the amazing comments. I've been reading through all of them, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate this. I mean, I don't want to be overly dramatic here, but I teared up the other night. I don't usually cry over these things, but I've just been through so much in the last couple years that it means a lot. It means a lot to me. It really does. And I just want to thank each and every one of you that has listened to the album or just supported me in general, even if you haven't heard it yet. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. So, one of the most common questions I've gotten in the last couple of weeks is, how did I get the idea for the title Revival? Where did Revival come from? Well, as you can imagine, Revival it's like a reboot. Revival is a sign of a comeback. It is a comeback. And so I knew this album was going to be my comeback album. And so I wanted the title to revolve around that theme, if that makes sense. So I thought of different ideas. I thought of Revival. I thought of Fully Revived. I thought of all kinds of different names. Back in Town, all kinds of stuff. And then we took a poll on Instagram in September when I was trying to figure it out, because I honestly couldn't decide. It was really difficult for me to pick a title. So I took that poll on Instagram, hoping that, I could get some inspo from you guys, the fans, and kind of see what would happen. And so, believe it or not, I did pick the title you guys voted for. Most of you guys voted for Revival in that list because it was included. So that's where I got the idea of Revival. So my other question is, how do I get the idea for each song and the story behind each song? Whew, you guys are asking me some big questions here. All right, so I will break it down for you because that's what I do. You have a question, I'm going to answer it. So let's start with the first track on the album, Music Is My Life. So, with Music is My Life, I have always been a fan of electronic music duo Daft Punk. They stopped making music in 2021, but I've been a fan of them nearly my entire life. So, I've always admired that style of music. I've always loved it, and I've always dreamed of making a song like them myself. Now, obviously, I'm not Daft Punk, but I figured I could do my best. I do have vocoders in here and several other things. So around May of 2023, I was on a Daft Punk binge. I was listening to all their albums and I was listening to their stuff nonstop. And so there were a couple songs in there, namely Lose Yourself to Dance from Random Access Memories, which was the last main album they put out in 2013. That's where the idea of Music is My Life came from. And you can tell that song, if you listen to Lose Yourself to Dance, Music is My Life is very similar to that. I made the arrangement and everything very similar. I didn't copy it, but I did definitely take a lot of inspiration from it. So basically what happened there was about a year later, in May of 2024, this May, I revisited it. And I was kind of thinking, I actually want to do this. I want to make this song. And so I came up with the chorus of, Music is My Life, Music is my life. Yeah, that thing. So on May 10th, I decided to sit down and I went onto Logic. I went into my studio here and I recorded just that chorus. I used the built-in vocoders that I had and I just recorded that chorus. And I was like, you know what? We could actually make a song off of this. So months later, when I finally got around to recording the album, that song came to life. And the entire instrumental was made on my Yamaha DGX 670 keyboard that I have right over here. I just got this a couple months ago. This keyboard, I must say, is one of the most versatile instruments I've ever owned. This keyboard can make any sound that you can think of, and it's all within here. We've got pianos, electric pianos, organs, accordions. We have acoustic guitars, electric guitars, bass guitars. We have all kinds of different strings. We have all kinds of different forms of brass and woodwind. We have horns, we have trumpets, saxophones. We actually have harmonicas. We have everything in here. We got all kinds of different drums, synthesizers, and everything you could think of. It's the most versatile instrument I've ever had. So that's how Music is My Life came about. Then I'll get to the next one, Lonesome Without You. What that comes from was I always wanted to make some sort of country record. I know this turned out to not exactly be a country record. It was like a pop country record, but I always wanted to make a country song. And around March or April of this year, that really sunk in. And I was like, okay, I want to figure out how to do this. I found this beat back in July that I ended up using for this song. It sounded entirely different. It was way different than what it came out to be. I tweaked it. I changed the pitch. I changed the key. And then I came up with this chorus. I'm lonesome without you. That kind of thing. Sorry, my voice is very, very hoarse today. But anyhow, that's how that came about. And then I built the chorus off of that. What that song is about a real life experience that I did once have a girlfriend and she did cheat on me. This happened back in 2022. So basically, that's what this song is about. It's one of the first times I've ever written about a real life experience. And if you listen to the lyrics, when I said I ignored the pain when summer came, because what happened was she cheated on me in the early summer of 2022. The rest of that summer I spent with my friends and just tried to I tried to kind of get away from it as much as I could, because I don't know what it is. When I had that experience, I didn't know what to do, because like I had never experienced anything like that before. So I know most people would have went insane and, started throwing hands and all that stuff. But I don't know what it was. That wasn't my response. I went off and I went into a dark place and I cried for a bit, and then I just tried to get over it as best as I could. But then what happened is I kind of ignored when I said I ignored the pain, I ignored how I was feeling. And so later on that fall, that winter, it really hit me. And I got really depressed in the beginning of 2023. That's honestly one of the main reasons that I disappeared for a while. But we don't need to go further into that, because that's not what this show is about. I just wanted to tell you guys like how that song came together. So that's Lonesome Without You. Then we have Take It All Away. This one, I came up with the chorus around July of 2023. I was walking around my neighborhood one night and I just had like all these different things floating through my head. And that chorus came up. The da 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 da. You take it all away. And so I was thinking, believe it or not, I was thinking of Charlie Puth when I was putting that chorus together. I was thinking of his hit song from 2015, One Call Away. I'm sure many of you have heard that by now. And so obviously the song came out much differently than that, but that's what I was initially thinking of. Then when I brought it in here, we changed the chorus, we changed the chords, we changed the keys to suit my voice better. And then I kind of just shelved it for a while. Then I came back to it around June or July of this year. And I called up Alex Rotundo, who was the pianist for my last couple spectaculars and worked with me on a couple songs. I called him in to help me record the piano track for that. Literally the day after I got this is when that all came together. I got this keyboard on August 12th. The next morning, August 13th, I had him in here and we were working on the piano part for Take It All Away. So he did the entire thing. He did it he had no idea even what the melody or anything was. And he picked it up and he completed it within about an hour. I could not believe it. Not even really. I mean, honestly, I kind of actually felt bad in the moment for giving that to him on such a short notice and not even like explaining to him what it was. But I mean, I explained it to him when he got here, but like, normally when artists collaborate, there's much more planning, but this was very spontaneous. He came right in, he did it. I mean, it was incredible. And Alex, if you are watching this, I want to give a heartfelt thanks to you for working with me that day, because boy, oh boy, you helped me a lot that day. You really did. We actually recorded a couple songs, and I never felt like, I don't know, even when I released the album last week, I totally forgot to give you the proper credit, so I want to give it to you now. Thank you so much for doing that with me. I really, really, really appreciate it. The song came out beautifully thanks to you. It really did. Now, honestly, I'm just going to say it. That song would have been nothing without your involvement. So thank you for helping me bring that to life. Really appreciate it. A couple weeks after that, actually about a month after that, around, I want to say it was September 17th, 18th, somewhere in there, I recorded the vocals over that track and made the song. That song is about I didn't even write this about anybody. I swear. This song is about an imaginary person that in times of trouble, in times of struggle, they somehow take your pain away. They somehow make you feel better. They somehow make you feel like you belong. And I think that we all yearn for that person. Even if you're a whole person, you still yearn for that somebody, especially if you don't have them, that cares about you and, is there for you. it's not even about having someone to take care of you. It's about having somebody that can just be there for you in times of struggle. And I'm sure that many of you that are watching, including myself, have been in that position at some point. You all just wish you had that somebody. And I've been there, believe me. So I have been there, but this song is not about anybody specific. So that's Take It All Away. Then we get into Standing on Business. That's the song I did with rapper J Prophet. How that song came about is about 6-ish months ago, I discovered that he was making music. He was one of my old friends from high school, and I figured out that he was, making all these rap songs. So one night I binged and I listened to all of them, and I was like, holy shit, he's actually really good. This actually isn't bad. And you know what? I have to say, he really has, if you're watching this, you really have progressed in the last couple of years, because he started about 2 years ago. And his more recent stuff, I have to be honest with you, I mean, I'm not saying he was ever bad, but he's gotten a lot better. He really has. I've seen the progression. So back to the point, back to what Standing on Business, how that came about. Shortly after I discovered that he was as good as he is, I tapped him. And a couple other friends had the idea that the two of us needed to get together and do a collaboration. So I tapped him one day for a collab, and he obliged, and he said, yes, I'll do it. Let's do it. So about, I want to say, another month or so went by, and then I had him come in here around early July. We recorded my first chorus and his first verse to the song. And I have to give songwriting credit to you on that one, J Prophet, because I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't usually make that kind of track because I've never really rapped or anything. So I was really struggling to come up with lyrics for that thing. What happened is we went online, we were looking for tracks, and we were just looking for inspiration, and we found this. I was originally going to make my own beat, but then we found this track, and it was just too good to pass up. We went through 5 or 6 different tracks, and we heard that one. Both of us are sitting right here. We mutually agreed this is the one. So I downloaded it. We put that in. He started making verses. You guys, he came up with those verses that he ended up using within like 20 minutes. It was just sitting right here. It was like a freestyle. Me personally, I had never seen anything like it. It was amazing. And that's when I knew he had something. I looked at him differently after that. I was like, oh wow, dude, you got something. I have to say, you actually got something. So basically, we put the song together. I had my lyrics, he had his. We did the first part on July 9th. Then I think we ran out of time. So we both had other things that we needed to do later in that day. So we dispersed. He went off to do his thing, and I went on to do my thing. And then about a month later, around the end of August, we got back together, and we recorded the second verse, the one where he went really, really hard. And then I recorded the rest of mine as well. And we also recorded the part where like he and I go back and forth. I'm standing on business, I'm running it up, that thing. And so that's when it all came together. And then I mastered the track, and that was that. So that was Standing on Business. And then we get into the final track, City of Light. This one actually might have the most interesting story of them all. I came up with the idea of this song when I was in Las Vegas back in August of 2023. Back when I got on stage on the America's Got Talent show. Back in August 2023 when I was on the America's Got Talent show. Now, I was in the shower in our hotel room, and I was imagining this pop punk rock kind of Panic at the Disco style song, you know, in the city of light, something like that, with, you know, a bunch of rock guitars in the background and drums and very, very high energy. And that's how I always was going to do the song. And then recently, well, I shelved the project for a while after that. And then when I started making the album, I came back to it. And I was like, what could... We had 4 songs done a couple weeks before I dropped Revival. And then I was just like, I just think this album needs one more. We need one more song. Just one more thing. And that would just do it. That would make the album. So I came back to this. I knew I wasn't going to be able to make that kind of track within 2 or 3 days. So I was feeling very uninspired. I kind of actually got a little frustrated. I was like, what do I do? I don't have anything better than this. How can I make this come together? I got really frustrated. And then what happened was I came over here. I sat at the piano. And I just started playing the melody very quietly and slowly on the piano. My mom actually happened to be sitting right here on the bed while I was doing it. And I just started playing it. And then I stopped. And I was like, you know what? I think this is a million times better. She was sitting right here. She agreed. She actually even wanted to say it before I got the chance to say anything. But I just, opened my mouth before she did. But then we were just like, this is it. And so I played around with it. I recorded the piano instrumental the next day. Vocals a couple days later. This was like the second week of October. This was like not even 3 weeks ago. And then I recorded that, the high vocal number in the end. And I will admit, I vocally went crazy on that. But you know what? It turned out beautifully. So that's City of Light. And then so that's how I made all the songs. Then my last question that I have here is, how did I get the idea for a 2-side album? Why 2 parts? Okay, so what that has to do with is that initially this album, I started playing this album about a year ago. And the whole thing was supposed to drop this past summer. It was supposed to be around, May or June. That was my plan. But then I went through some personal things. I went through some personal life events that forced me to delay this project. Some, mental health things, and then, all the stuff with my neighbors and everything else. So basically, I went through all those things, went through the motions of that, and then I decided to delay the album. I was like, okay. All right, so the other question I have on this screen is, how did I get the idea for a 2-part album? Why 2 parts? Well, what that has to do with is that I was initially supposed to release the entirety of this album around May or June of this year, 2024. I came up with the idea of this album about a year ago, and so back in 2023, that's how I was planning it. Unfortunately, that didn't work out, as I had some, personal life events that I went through, some mental health struggles and health struggles and other things. So that forced me to delay it for a little while. Then finally, earlier this year, I was walking around my neighborhood one night with my mom, and I was kind of venting about how, I was pissed. I was pissed that I couldn't get the album out. I was pissed that I had kept you guys waiting for so long. And I finally was like, at this point, the album's not going to be out till 2025. I was frustrated because I hadn't had the chance to even start working on it yet because of all the things I was going through in the beginning of the year and so on. So that's where she came up with this idea. She was like, have you ever thought about releasing it in 2 parts? a switch went off when she said that. A switch absolutely went off when she said that. And I thought, you know what? That is not a bad idea. I went to bed that night. I thought about it in my head for about 3 or 4 days. And I was like, you know what? This would totally work. We could get the first half out in the fall and get the second half out in the spring. And that's exactly what I ran with. I was like, this is perfect. Now, I would have had the first part out this summer had I not went through some of the recent things that I've been through that I'm not going to talk about. But so that's why I ended up being now October. But hey, it's here, and that's all that matters. The past is in the past. We can only focus on, how things are going to be going forward. So that brings me to my last thing, and that is my future plans for this podcast and my future plans for the albums and performances and everything else. So with this show, basically what I plan is to have it like this from here on out. It's always going to be video going forward for the most part, unless I get someone really valuable that, doesn't want to be on camera or something like that, which I don't foresee happening. We will have more special guests. It's not going to be just me every time from here on out, but this might be something I do every now and then just to keep the show going and to keep you guys entertained. I mean, hey, it's better than nothing, right? So that's my plans for this show. I do plan to bring back some of the guests that we had when I first started doing this show. And you will be seeing that within the next 3 or 4 months. We will have some of them back. Patrick Myers, Evan Sutton, Alex Rotundo, all those guys. And so we will have them all back at some point. I don't know exactly when, but a couple of them do want to come back. So we will have that at some point. And then my future plans for my albums, well, Revival Part 2 will be coming out in the spring of 2025. Probably somewhere between March and May. I'm thinking April is a good guess. April, I think, is a good bet on when it'll be out, but I'm not promising anything. We have already started to work on it, and we're going to continue to work on it over the next, 3 or 4 months, and we'll kind of see where things go with that. Another thing we'll be having an original Christmas song that'll be out next month, likely Friday, November 22nd, you guys. And I'm going to be releasing that along with kind of a best of Christmas album, if you will. We're going to be taking a lot of my Christmas songs that never got that many hits on YouTube or were considered underrated by some, and we're going to be I have remastered all of those with the equipment that I have today. I'm talking about the songs I released from years like 2018 to 2021, 2022. Because back in 2021, I had a much different studio than what I have now. I have much higher quality, much more expensive equipment now. So, and better mastering tools. So I took a lot of those songs, we remastered them, and trust me, they sound a million times better. You guys are going to love it. So I'm taking all those songs along with this original Christmas song, which will be it'll be the first track on the album, and we will re-release that. So that'll be something I put out for you guys to enjoy for the holidays. And speaking of holidays, I am doing a comeback concert this Christmas, as I put on Instagram the other day. I will be having that. It's likely going to be on Thursday, December 19th. So save the date, mark your calendars. I know that for some of you, for some of my fans, they have finals during that week, and I do understand that. So if they can't make it, I understand. Unfortunately, we're not going to be having a live stream or anything like that because, as you imagine, that does take a lot of extra work and a lot of extra time. And so I primarily did that on the Spectacular for COVID and that age because that's what everybody was doing. But before that, I never did anything like that. And so I don't feel that we need that now. So if you want to see the show, you got to be there in person. Sorry, not sorry. Don't worry. I totally understand for those who can't make it. I'm just playing around. But there will be an edit after the show is done. We are doing a pre-recorded edit for the show, but on that night, it's fully in person. So Thursday, December 19th, it's going to be at the Burlingame Community Center in the same room that I had my final spectacular, believe it or not. But this show is going to look a lot different. The format is way different. It's going to be primarily me. We're not going to have a whole lot of other performers, except I did pitch Alex to come back to be our in-house pianist, so we'll see what happens there. And Jay Prophet, if you are around, I think we need a live performance of Standing on Business. So please hit me up if you're interested in doing that. We'll do it during the show. I think that would be incredible. So that's the plan there. I'm looking very, very forward to that. Joey Guden's Christmas comeback is likely what we're going to call it, but I'm not exactly sure, so please don't quote me on that. But those are our future plans. There's going to be a lot more information to follow within the next few weeks and months, and I'll keep you guys posted on all of that. All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for watching. Man, it feels so good to be on camera now. This really changes the game. And as you can see here, I've got my brand new studio, and it's looking absolutely beautiful. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you are interested in being on our show or know someone that you think would be a good candidate to be my next special guest, please contact me on my Facebook or my Instagram, or on the Instagram for JG Show Official, or contact us at jgshowofficial@gmail.com. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Thank you guys so much for watching. There's going to be a lot more coming your way. I am super excited for the future of this show and everything that's going to be coming. Thank you guys all. Until next time, JG Nation.